I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Y'all are very brave to come out in the weather to join us today. We sure are glad you're here with us at UB Savannah.
They got a pretty good groove going
Got
out
a
there.
pretty good groove going on out there too.
Let's hear some of that groove.
So we're going to offer you a few minutes just to say hello to your neighbor. Meet your neighbor, especially if you see somebody you don't know. Make them feel welcome here because they are. don't sit down just yet. Not just yet. Not just yet. Y'all know this one, I believe. I got peace. I got peace. Like a river. Like a river. I got peace. Down in my soul. Down in my soul. I've got peace. I've got peace. Like a river. Like a river. And I just roll. The river is deep, and the river is wide, and it's strong, from side to side. I just roll with the flow. The river flows all day. Flows all night. Y'all awake this morning?
Good morning. Welcome to Unity. Tell somebody, welcome to Unity. Unity. I'm Reverend Dale Worley. Unity of Savannah is a center for spiritual awakening where we recognize God as what? Life, love, and the ground of all being, and we celebrate God by living fully, loving lavishly, and being all that we can be. And this morning, disguised as a percussion player, we have renowned soprano vocalist Rebecca Flaherty with us this morning. You might remember that Becca did a concert with Sanford not too long ago. It just rocked the house. And I'm so grateful that she said yes. to celebrate peace with us today. This is the second Sunday in Advent, and last Sunday we lit our candle to represent faith. I have faith this candle will light. So let's join together in affirming our mission and vision statements. Our mission, centered in God's love, we inspire universal transformation, one heart at a time. And our mission, we are an inclusive spiritual community, serving others with love, joy, and truth. And you know, I really don't want to wear this out, but every Sunday when I look out at y'all sitting in those new chairs, I just feel awesome. It just feels good. It looks good in here. Doesn't it feel good in here? Yeah, so thank you everybody that made that possible, that we could renovate our sanctuary and really, you know, show a manifestation of the prosperity consciousness that we hold as a community, yes? Yeah. So if you're serving as a prayer chaplain today, would you please stand? Our prayer chaplain is here. Oh, come on now. So you focus on what you want and you get more of it, right? So our prayer chaplains, our divine Trinity this morning is here to hold sacred space with us, to listen lovingly to our prayer intentions, to hold in confidence what is shared, and to pray affirmatively and from the heart. So if you would like a prayer after the service today, please see one of our lovely prayer chaplains. Thank you for your service. And so after today's service, we're going to be having a Walking on Water seminar. I think some of y'all already took that, walking in the building today. So we just need a hole in something somewhere, don't we, to let that drain out?
Not the roof.
Not the roof, but something in the concrete out there to drain that. So if anybody has any ideas, please see me before breaking out your power tools. We appreciate that. So it's a Peace Sunday. We're also talking about bravery today. So I was thinking this morning when the deluge hit about 8 o'clock, that bravery is being afraid of getting wet, but going out into the rain anyway. Think about that. Yeah, so let's hold that together as we move through our service and we talk about bravery and we light our candle for peace.
God's peace is mine. All things contribute to the calm peace of my soul. Peace is always possible, even on the busiest of days. I am never far away from what the Apostle Paul called the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. I am a living expression of God. Just as every person is, I know that peace, like all God's qualities, seeks expression in my life. In the stillness of prayer, I embrace God's peace, allowing it to fill my body, mind, and spirit, centered in stillness of God. I go about my daily activities affirming, God's peace is mine. All things contribute to the calm peace of my soul. Interruptions and inconveniences no longer upset me. My peaceful presence blesses me and everyone I meet. And Philippians 4:7, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Please repeat with me. God's peace is mine. All things contribute to the peace of my soul.
Surely the presence of the Lord resides in this place. Surely the very presence of God, of light, of love, resides within you. And as you take that into your being, ponder it, think about it, relax in it. Know and come to know that you know how very special you are to God. That the holy light, the very presence of God resides in you. Oh, how good it feels to know that. To know that wherever you go, whomever you're with, whatever you're doing, holy light, God is there. And so, because we know that we are protected, we know we're loved, we know we are cared for. No place to go. No one to ask. Just be. So be. Be the light that you are. Express the light as you relax, as you allow the light of love to move down your face. Unclench the jaw. Feel the tension as it leaves the neck. Lower the shoulders. Feel the arms go light. Feel the hands, the very fingertips, tingle with the Spirit of God. Allow the light to permeate the chest. The heartbeat is God telling you, I love you. Allow the loving light to move down to the stomach area. Feel the tension as the muscles go limp. allow the loving light, the holy light, to move down through the groin, through the thighs, to the knees. Feel the relaxation of loosening and letting it all go. And as that holy, loving light goes down to the ankles and comes to rest at your loving feet, that metaphysically represents understanding. You come to understand that God loves you, cherishes you, wants you, just as you are. So I invite you to rest for a moment now in that knowing.
I need to just sit here a minute. Wow! Rebecca Flaherty, come on. I don't need to say anything. But you know me, I'm going to anyway. Can't help myself. Ave Maria. If you grew up Catholic, you probably heard that prayer a couple times. Hail Mary, full of grace. Yeah, heard that before. You know, I like to stop every now and then when we do our vision and mission statements and really focus on what we're saying. Because if you say the same thing a lot, do the same thing a lot, sometimes it loses its meaning. Yeah? We kind of changed up the order of service a little bit for the holidays just to keep things fresh and to keep us present and aware. So you know how I like to look up words? I was like, what does Ave mean exactly? So it comes from A-V-E-R-E, pronounce that as you will, which means to fare well, to wish someone like a blessing, to pronounce goodness for somebody. It's like saying farewell. Good to see you. Farewell. May God be with you. May the road rise up to meet you and the wind beat your back, that kind of thing, right? Hail Mary, Hail Mary. What about the word hail? To greet with acclaim. Wow. Hey. And also, you can think of it in the context of like hailing a cab. It's to summon something, to summon. Wow. You know, we're working with the story of the angel Gabriel coming to visit Mary from the book of Luke. And I'm thinking that if Gabriel came to visit Mary in this age, he might say something like, "Yo, Mary, what's up?" Right? "Hail, Mary, what you doing? Guess what? You're going to give birth to God." What? What? Remember, it says that the angel told her not to be afraid. I mean, think about this. How old do you think that Mary probably was when the angel came to her? 14, 12, 13, 14. She's just a little girl. I mean, now, I know I'm talking to a Unity crowd, so maybe this happened to you, but what if an angel appeared to you when you were 12? Right? What? Oh. And then it told you, "I have something for you to do, and it's pretty important. You're going to bring divinity into the world." Well, I don't know about you, but all of my unworthiness, my low self-esteem button would have immediately been pressed. What? I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to give birth to the Christ. What are you talking about? And why did he pick me? Well, I'm just a lowly maiden, you know. I don't know how to do this. I'm not worthy of this. But it says that the angel told her that she was highly favored. Now, I think we make a mistake when we feel like some people are special. You know, there's this thing, this mistake that Christianity has made of like making some people special and other people are worthless sinners. Don't you agree? Yes. Did you ever hear, you know, that you are worthless? Well, no wonder we have self-esteem issues, right? Everybody is worthy to give birth to the Christ. In fact, that's what we're here to do. Yes? Yes. Yeah. But how many people has ever participated in giving birth? Ow! I don't know. It looks pretty painful to me. I've been there a couple of times. And when my son was born, my wife threw the bedpan at me. "This is your fault," she said. Screaming at me. I'm like, "Wait, what happened to my little angel?" That looks like it hurts. I remember when I was a little boy, some of y'all know that or you might have guessed, I grew up in the country, right? So when I'm before school age, a little kid with my sister, my mom used to dress us in these terry cloth cotton underwear. And that is all we would wear all summer long. I've got pictures of me and my sister sitting in mud puddles in the driveway in front of our little concrete block house, having the best time. Never heard of the internet, right? We're just collecting bugs and making mud pies and doing all this crazy stuff. And so there was a big bush in the yard behind our house, and sometimes we'd go under there and hide from Mother when she was calling for us. So one day we heard a cat under there that was kind of yelling out a little bit, and so me and her and a couple of the neighbor kids got under the bush, and there was a cat, a wild cat, having kittens. Wow! So first, the cat is, and these kittens are popping out, and we're like, whoa, what is going on? You know, this looks really scary, and it's kind of gross. You know, is the cat okay? It doesn't look like it's having a good time. This is, wow. You know, but then after it was over, and the mother is cleaning up the little babies, and they still got their eyes closed, and they're kind of moving a little bit, getting used to being in the world. It just felt so good. we felt really good. We didn't know why. I just saw something important. I couldn't, put my finger on it. But we felt really good. This is fun. And then, of course, we're like, can we keep them? No. So this is how it is when we give birth to the Christ. We talk about this a lot, and we focus on the image of the little baby in the manger and the silent night, and the cattle are lowing, and the shepherds are singing, and the angels are, flying around in the sky. Everything is good and cool and quiet. But we don't look at the other part that just happened. Ugh. The messy part, the painful part. Because it's a natural thing as humans for us to want to draw back from anything that doesn't feel good, yes? I don't know about you, but I have a little helper on my phone. It's a little game, and when life gets too much, I just get my game out and I start playing that. Because I'm not thinking about anything for a minute. I kind of zone out, right? Or I might sit down and watch Mr. Robot on Netflix for a couple hours. It's a cool show. I'm totally into it, right? So that's okay to kind of give ourselves a break from these feelings of uncomfortableness and unworthiness and vulnerability. But if we want to give birth to the Christ, if we want to transform, if we want to be transformed by the renewing of our minds, our heart, and our soul, then we got to be willing to lean into the uncomfortableness. It's okay to take a break sometimes, but if I have sat in my pajamas all day long, not took a bath, and ate popcorn and potato chips all day and watched Mr. Robot for 10 hours, then I'm numbing, then I'm escaping, then it's addictive behavior, right? And don't we have lots of fun addictive behaviors? Anybody ever run up a credit card bill, And now we have this internet shopping stuff. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get it delivered for free in 2 days. And you can go down to Whole Foods and pick it up from one of the lockers down there. And while you're there, you can spend more money. They got a lot of good stuff in the bakery. They got these fancy little soaps, right? I can't get out of there without spending $20 or $30, right? So there's a lot of things that we use to kind of numb ourselves from these feelings that we're having when we're giving birth, right? When we're changing, when we're transforming, when we're leaning in. Have different coping mechanisms, and that's okay. However, we have to remember that we can't numb selectively. Because if we numb and avoid the pain, the uncomfortableness, the feelings of vulnerability, the anxiousness, the frustration, then we're also numbing out the joy, the things that we're focusing on this Advent season. We're numbing our faith. We're numbing the peace that passes all understanding. We're numbing the love. We're numbing our connection to each other. We're numbing the joy that we can feel from being alive. Guess what? You're going to mess up. You might as well just own up to it right now and go, yes, I'm going to mess up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to mess up and I'm going to keep going. See, to me, that's the definition of bravery, of courage, is being willing to risk, being afraid, and being willing to do it anyway. That's why I said this morning, being afraid of getting wet, but still getting out in the rain, right? Because the payoff, once we get through that, the payoff, the other side is so beautiful. It's that image we have of the little baby, the newborn baby in the manger. It's that feeling I had when I was under the bush. And the thing is we do this over and over and over again our whole lives. It's not a one-time event. So we've been studying from the book of Luke this morning, last Sunday. So I want to share with you another story from the book of Luke, Skywalker.
What's in there? Only what you take with you. Through what happens, you will not need them.
What? I just met the bad guy and it was me. Wow. Wow. I love to look at everything metaphysically. There's so many good metaphysical messages in the movies. Yes? And did you know that when George Lucas was filming the first 3 Star Wars movies that he was working with Joseph Campbell, who wrote the books The Power of Myth and The Hero's Journey, all about leaving home and going out and finding out that just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, what you were looking for, you had it with you all the time. It's the great mystery, right? And so when I look at this scene, I think about Yoda as being like our divine nature, our Christ self. And he's saying when Luke comes to the cave, you know, and you must go. But R2-D2, our little ego self, is over there going, no, don't go in there. You know? He's like, what's in there? It's dark. It's cold. It doesn't feel right. What's in there? And Yoda says, only what you take in there with you. Yes? So we go within to discover our shadow side, to lean into our uncomfortability. What do we find in that cave? We find these little gremlins named guilt and shame. Fear. These are, every human experiences this. Yes? Like, I talk about 12 steps programs sometimes. Not because I want to exclude anybody that hasn't had any experience being in a 12-step program. However, I'm reminded that when Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob were first putting the AA program together, the first 12-step program, they worked a little bit with Reverend Emmett Fox, who's a New Thought minister. So when I look at the 12-step teachings, I see the New Thought Unity teachings in there. And one of the big steps I had to take was to get honest with somebody, to learn how to be vulnerable, and to learn how to trust. Because I would go to these meetings and I would hear people talking out loud about guilt and shame and fear. And they're saying out loud in front of God and everybody stuff that I thought I would take to my grave. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody this. Like, I can't tell anybody I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being afraid. I'm afraid of telling you I am afraid. And it's radiating out from me like the sun shining, right? And when we go in the cave and we look at guilt and shame, guilt tells us that I did something wrong. And shame tells us there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with you. And so what I'm here to say this morning is, yes, we do mess up. We do make mistakes. We do get afraid, but we keep going anyway, and there's nothing wrong with us, except for what we tell ourselves. See, in order for me to learn how to be compassionate and loving with you, I have to be compassionate and loving with me first. But I can't do that if I'm continuing to let these little gremlins of shame and guilt and fear run my life. And I can't birth the Christ without some messiness, without some pain, without being willing to lean into it. Mary, in this story, in the book of Luke, when the angel came to her, is the perfect example of courage and bravery. Because she says, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here I am, Lord, is what she says at the end. Here I am. Let it be done unto me according to your word. Here I am. I'm ready. I'm willing to accept the fact that I might mess this up, that I don't know how to do it. And it might be painful, but yet I'm going to do it anyway. And what a benefit we get out of life when we take that attitude. I'm willing to lean in. I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to take risks. I'm willing to make mistakes because I know on the other side I'm going to give birth to something new that hasn't been in the world before, that I haven't experienced before. A greater level of understanding of God and my divine nature, a greater experience of that, a greater manifestation of joy and abundance and happiness, all the things that I want. It's funny because all the things that we run from are the very key to giving us the things that we really want. Because from vulnerability comes creativity and joy and bliss and newness. I love the book of John. It's one of my favorite books in the New Testament because, especially toward the end, and I'm going to quote from the 16th chapter, Jesus knows that he's about to be crucified. The disciples know that he's about to die. And they're kind of freaked out. They're messed up. Because this was the guy that was the fulfillment of our prophecy. He was supposed to come and save us from all this stuff. He was the hero. He was our hero. And now what's happening? He's going to be gone. And so they're scared. They don't know what to do. In the Eastern tradition, anytime a teacher, a guru, is about to pass, they draw their students, their initiates, their devotees, their disciples around them to say, okay, look, here's the Cliff Notes version. Here's the important parts. All this stuff we've been doing together, let me give you the bullet points about the really important stuff. And so I think about that when I read the book of John towards the end, where Jesus is at the Last Supper with his disciples. And he's told them, you know, I speak to everybody in parables, in symbols, but I'm speaking to you plainly right now because you're ready to know the secret, to know the mystery, to know the real truth, to know this powerful understanding that I can't just share out with everybody else because they won't get it anyways. You guys are ready. So, and I'm about to go. I know my time is limited, so here it is. And he says in verse 21, When a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come. But when her child is born, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy at having brought a human being into the world. Isn't that it's so beautiful? And this is what we get to do spiritually. If we're brave enough to say, okay, I know it's going to hurt and I'm going to mess up, but I'm going to do it anyways. You know, the word courage comes from the root word C-U-R, which means heart. And in the beginning, the first meaning of that word courage, when we first started using that word, what it meant was telling your story, being willing to tell your story with your whole heart. So you all have a story to tell, and it's the story of you. It's a unique individual story, and it has value and worth. And so I'm here to tell you that the key to finding faith, to finding joy, to find the peace that we're talking about this morning is being willing to be seen, to be authentic, to let yourself be heard. And that's what we all want anyways, is to feel connection, but yet it's the thing that we're the most scared of at the same time. But just like Yoda says, into the cave you must go. But when you come out, the beauty, the joy, the peace that you experience. And of course, Jesus sums it up so well at the end of this chapter. He says, I have said all this to you, all of the things that he just shared with them, all of his teachings. I've said this to you so that in me you may have peace in the world. In the world you face persecution, but take courage. I have conquered the world. In another translation, he says, take heart, for I have overcome the world. So I invite you to be an overcomer, to take heart, to take the risk, to open yourself and give birth to the Christ. Because believe me, it's worth the trip. So I invite you, if you would, to go in the cave with me one more time before we part company this morning. Let's go within. Take a few deep breaths. Allow your eyes to close and just be present to whatever's coming up for you. We're so grateful to know that we don't have to take this journey alone, that we have guides and way showers to help us, and we have each other. We have a spiritual community. We can support each other and lean on each other and lean into and be vulnerable together as a spiritual community. Open ourselves up to something greater that is just waiting for us to give it expression. So like Mary, this morning we say, here we are, Lord, here we are, great law of life. Let it be done unto us according to thy will, according to the order, the harmony, the love, the peace of the universe that is ready and waiting to express in us and through us and as us. We give thanks for this time together, to come together and to know our oneness with each other, and to know our oneness with God, to know that we are the Christ of God in expression. So we release our prayer now. We release our lives. We surrender to something greater and higher than ourselves. And it's with joy and appreciation we pray in the name and under the authority of all that is holy and beautiful and true. And because we allow it to be so. And so it is. Amen.
Spirit among us, shine like the stars. that guides shepherds and kings from afar. Shimmer in the sky, so hopeful, peaceful, rising in the warmth of your sun's love. Star, you guide us and light our way. Spirit, we wait for your loving Son.
We invite you to sing Silent Night with us.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Spirit among us, shine like the star, your light that guides shepherds and kings from afar. Shimmer in the sky, so hopeful, peaceful, rising in the warmth of your sun's love. Star, you guide us and light our way. Spirit, we wait for your loving Son.
Thank you. Rebecca Flaherty, everyone. Thank you. So we have 5 basic principles that we teach and practice every Sunday here at Unity. I invite you to affirm them with me. Our first principle is what? There is only one power, one presence in our lives and in the universe, God. Our second principle we talked about this morning, what? We are the Christ of God in expression. Now the way that we express the Christ is through spiritual law. And our third principle is called the law of mind action, which is thought plus feeling equals outcome. Our fourth principle reminds us there is power in affirmative prayer and meditation. And our fifth principle, we must live the truth that we know. So every Sunday for the holiday season, we're doing our Sacred Walk of Abundance at the second service as well as the first. So I invite you, if you come prepared to give a love offering this morning, to go ahead and get that ready right now. And my vision for this process, it's a ceremony, it's a ritual, it's an affirmation of our third principle, it's an affirmation of our prosperity principles. And so not only when you come forward are you given the opportunity to give something, but I want to give you a little present. The church is offering you something every Sunday when you come forward as well. So a lot of the stories that I share with you on Sunday, I do because they've been really powerful experiences in my life, and I like to call them touchstones. And when I'm having a difficult time, when I'm leaning in, when I'm feeling vulnerable, when I'm going into the cave, a lot of time I remember these experiences that I've had, or I remember the stories that other people have shared with me. And so I think of these as touchstones. So this morning, we're offering you a touchstone. as you come forward. This bowl is filled with river rocks that have the word peace embossed on them. So you can use this to remind you of the truth of your being. If you're going through a hard time, you can carry this in your pocket, and you can touch it, and you can be reminded of the truth that you are the Christ of God in expression. And even though you're going through a hard time, you're going to make it through. You're going to get up, and you're going to do it again. Yes? So I like to put mine in the console of my car, and just reminds me as I'm going somewhere, doing my errands, going around town, going to the bank, going to the grocery store. Yes, I am the peace. You know, we had this meditation workshop a couple of Saturdays ago. Susie G did a fantastic job of leading this, and she gave me this wonderful practice. When I was standing in line at the post office the other day, I just started telling everybody in my head, I love you, I love you, I love you. Even though you're going really slow and you're not paying attention. I love you. I love you. And I felt so good when I got out of the post office. It's just, this stuff works, y'all. Yeah. And another thing that I like to do, Eckhart Tolle says when we're waiting anywhere, when we're waiting in line, it's a perfect opportunity to practice presence. And Roy Eugene Davis tells us when we're doing meditation sometimes to feel your expansiveness. Feel your expansiveness. And if you practice this at home during your meditation time of feeling your expansiveness, it's really easy to do it when you're out in a crowd somewhere. And so I'm feeling my expansiveness, and then I'm feeling that expansiveness is love. It's radiating out from me. I'm going to affirm that by saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. If you're having a fight with your spouse, feel your expansiveness to the best of your ability and lean into the vulnerability. And you'll be amazed at the outcome. So we're going to come forward at the middle aisle. Now, a lot of us give our offering, our tithe, our donation on the internet. Some people get paid once a month and they give once a month. So you don't always have something in your hand to come put in the bowl, but we want everybody to take part in this if you want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay. I do not have a little ledger up here, and I'm not marking off anybody's name on whether you come up here or not. That's between you and God. That's your own deal, right? But if you don't have anything in your hand to put in the bowl, you still want to come up. We have these little diamonds that Becky mined at a diamond mine in Peru last week just for y'all, so we'd have them this morning. You can take one of these and bless it and put it in the bowl. And then get your rock. And we have enough that if you want to get one, if you want to get two, if you want to get an extra and give one to a friend to help them remember that they are peace, please take one or two when you come up. So I've asked Becky, will you be over here? And Renee, will you be over there giving out hugs? So if you don't want to hug somebody this morning, that's okay. We'll lean into that with you. Just go like this to the person, and they'll know that to don't snatch you up, right? And if you don't want to take part in the walk, but you still want to make a contribution, you can leave it in. There's a bowl on the table as you go out the door. So as you're willing, as you're ready, as you're able, go ahead and let's begin our sacred walk of abundance. I am thankful, so grateful in this moment right now. So grateful
Ushers, come on up, ushers. Right now. Right here. Miss Evelyn, come on up. Right now. Right here. Right now. Right here. Right now. Right
Heavenly Mother, Father God, we are so very, very grateful for the opportunity to give. The opportunity to open up and to know that we are worthy of giving. And so as we feel the gratefulness that comes with giving, let us say our offertory blessing together. Divine love has me, as it on all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
Now let's welcome our children.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
So we have a special blessing for our children together. God loves you and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. I see the Christ
In you. Now let's receive their blessing.
God loves you and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. I see the Christ in you.
When I first came to this church, you were that little. Now look at you. Yeah. So some of y'all have shown interest in becoming members of the church. We're going to have 2 new member classes in January after the Sunday services on the 13th and the 20th. So I think it's the 2nd and 3rd Sundays in January. I'm going to ask you to come to both of them. Bring your lunch. We'll be here for 90 minutes right after the 2nd service. So anybody is welcome to come. And if you're a long-time member or you've just been here a year or 2 and you want to come and get to know some of the new folks, you want a refresher course on some of the history and teachings of unity, everybody is welcome to attend. And if this is your first, second, or third time at Unity, we have an information packet for you that we'd love to give you. Anybody here like to receive a little packet and stuff about our church? If not, hey, glad you're here this morning. That's not awkward. Let's just single you out of everybody. We invite you to lean into this experience. And we have a special blessing that we use for people who are new. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the light of Christ shining as you. So we still have lots of coffee and cake next door. I invite you to stick around, get to know somebody, have a snack. Let's all stand and join hands and sing our closing song.
Let there be peace on earth and let it be in between. Let there be peace on earth and peace that will fill to me. With earth as our mother, family all agree. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let us be the
of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.